Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Australian Jiao Shu. Well, today, on March 28th, Friday, Bangkok got rocked. I'm sure you would have seen online a lot of the clips coming out, especially from Bangkok. I mean, it was something like a 7.7 magnitude, about 10 kilometers deep over in Burma. Huge destruction over there, as far as I know. And as far as I know, Bangkok got put into a state of emergency. And the MRT got shut down. That's the underground bit. The BTS got shut down. The set stopped trading for the afternoon. And the buildings were swaying, and the construction sites, some of the buildings were coming down. And that's just horrific. I mean, anybody who spent any amount of time in Bangkok would have seen, example, Palam Si Rama 4, when they were building that one Bangkok, for an example. On shift change, crew change times, the enormous amount of yellow and orange hard hats, high vis that were rolling out of these construction sites, it's just incredible. And those buildings coming down, they may have been full of those guys and girls. You know, just goes to show in life, 1 minute you're fine, next minute your life maybe changed forever. You know, it's horrifying. I mean, I've seen online that people up in northern Thailand, like Chiang Mai, etc., were saying they felt the quake. Quite a lot. At the moment, I'm in Vientiane in Laos, fantastic city, and I was doing road work for boxing around 13:25 today. That's when Bangkok was getting smashed up, and I certainly didn't experience anything. There was no shaking. Not that I've ever experienced an earthquake, but there was nothing out of the ordinary that I felt here. Maybe there are some people in Vientiane who did. I'm not sure, but I certainly did not. And I've heard aftershocks can be worse than the initial quake. I mean, a lot of my friends down in Bangkok, they weren't allowed back inside their condos for a fair while, and even now they're recommended they don't use the lifts. I mean, I for one wouldn't be using the lift if I was in Bangkok at the moment, which that's not too good if you're on a high floor, but still, you don't want to be in a lift if something goes bad. And also on Friday the 28th was a bit of an earthquake in Australia, with the Prime Minister calling an election. While not unexpected, it's around a 5-week campaign to May the 3rd, Saturday, May the 3rd, 2025. I keep seeing on the media that it's going to be the election of our lifetimes, or our lifetime, and it's a cost of living election and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, really, if people take a bit of time and look at both sides of the uni parties that are at the moment, the way the voting system is, it's very hard to dislodge them. Is there that much difference between them? And there's a few standout things that I could say, that I can see, but probably 95%, something like that, is they're pretty well in lockstep with each other, unfortunately. And that's to the detriment. And I mean, history shows that. I mean, the fastest decline in living standards in Australia, heading towards $1 trillion debt, GDP per capita, I mean, wages, the mass immigration that no one voted for. And I'm actually a pro-immigration guy, but as I've said on the channel before, that I've worked in the Middle East extensively for a long period, and I've seen what, and they're smart, and I've seen what a good immigration system looks like, and that's not what I see in Australia. The immigration system, in my opinion, should be advantageous to Australians and Australian workers. Australians workers with Australian passports, not PR and things like that. I mean, why do people on PR maybe get pensions? they're not Australian citizens, but that's for another clip. But like, I mean, one difference is the opposition said they're going to cut net immigration or something like that by 25%. Well, that sounds good, but is that enough? I mean, and I'm no economist, but is that enough? I mean, that's 25%, but that's starting at such an incredibly high number of, that, 25%, is that really going to make much difference? Would it need to be 75% for 5 years or something like that, and really take stock and really have a look at the tweaks that may need to be made to the Australian immigration system? Yeah, I mean, power, that is one difference that I've discussed on the channel before. I mean, you've got the opposition that wants nuclear, and you've got the government that wants like ancient technology like wind farms and things like that. When Australia's got coal, a major, or if not the biggest exporter of coal in the world, and Australia is just shutting down as many coal-fired power stations as possible by the looks of it. And if you don't update and spend money on power stations, coal-fired power stations, then they tend to break down. So, and then it's no good demonising them and say, oh, look, they're unreliable. Well, they have to be maintained and invested in. And why, with 1 in 8, something like 1 in 8 Australians living in poverty, or whatever from what they gauge poverty by. I mean, why the governments aren't building high efficiency, clean coal-fired power stations all over Australia? With the coal we have is it's incredible. It's incredible. Are these politicians doing the right thing by Australians? I mean, there is an argument now growing in Australia about gas and keeping a domestic reserve and taxing more. But you have to be careful how you look at that. And as I said before, Australia has to be careful. Australians have to be careful, in my opinion, not to go too far down the road of socialism. I mean, Medicare is great and needs to be better. And with all the money that Australians could get from these resources, Medicare could be gold standard. Education, everything could be gold standard. But Australia may never get there. I mean, and even if things do improve, it's going to be so diluted because the immigration is so big that what could have been great, Australians we could have been walking on water for the money we could have had, for the resources and the teeny population we had, that the pie is going to be so diluted with all this immigration that it won't have anywhere near the effect that it could have had for the huge pensions Australia could have had, the welfare, the Medicare, the education, the higher education. Well, look, that's for sure for future videos. But look, if you're over in Myanmar, Burma, or in Thailand or anywhere that's been affected by the quake, I hope you're doing well. I hope you have clean water. I hope you have a good bed to sleep in, and stay safe. And let's hope there's no big aftershocks. And thanks for watching, and hit that like and subscribe button.